The sky above Seoul split open at exactly 6:14 in the morning. I remember every detail of that moment. The intersection of Tehran-ro and Gangnam-daro. Early morning commuters frozen mid-step. Every single person on that street staring upward at the same thing. A crack, perfectly straight, like someone had taken a blade to the atmosphere itself. Then the window appeared. Not on a phone, not on a screen. Directly in front of every human being on Earth. Simultaneously, a floating blue panel hanging in the air like it had always been there. Global Awakening Event. Select your ability. You have 10 minutes. The list appeared below it. Hundreds of options. Scrolling endlessly. Two men in construction gear physically wrestled over steel skin. A teenage girl stood in the middle of the road crying because the ability she wanted had already been taken. Then Juno appeared. My best friend of 12 years. Running toward me from 3 blocks away. His face wild with excitement. Hyun, look at this. He grabbed my arm. I'm taking gravity manipulation. It's insane. You can control the weight of anything. People, objects, everything. Grab something strong. We'll be the last ones standing. I promise. He looked at me with those eyes I had trusted since we were 8 years old. Sitting in the same elementary school classroom in Nowongu. I nodded. Told him to go ahead and select his ability. He did. Immediately, without hesitation. I waited until he was focused on his own screen. Then I scrolled. Past all the flashy powers. Past everything loud and obvious and powerful. Past everything everyone else. Mirror mind, copy any skill or ability by observing it used once. No copy limit. Skills can be combined. Juno read it over my shoulder. Then he laughed. Loud enough that 3 strangers turned to look. Bro, you're joking right now. You have to watch someone first? What are you going to do when a monster is eating your face? Ask it to slow down so you can study its technique? The people nearby laughed too. The fire manipulation girl shook her head. A big guy with steel skin already selected looked at me the way you look at someone who just made a terrible mistake. I selected mirror mind. I said nothing to anyone, because I already knew exactly what was coming. I had known for 11 months, 2 weeks, and 4 days. 11 months earlier. 2:33 in the morning. An anonymous message appeared on my phone. No sender. No number. Completely untraceable. For lines. The invasion begins November 14th. Monsters from below. 72 cities simultaneously. The system will give humans abilities to fight. Only 1 human survives. I spent the first 3 days convinced it was a prank. Then 1 week trying to report it to someone. Police. Government lines. Anyone who would listen. Nobody did. Then I made a decision. If this was real, I was going to be the one who survived. I quit my job quietly. Told friends I was taking a mental health break. And I started preparing. Not weapons training. Not physical conditioning. I studied. I read every manhwa, every novel, every game that featured ability systems. I built a mental library of how powers worked. Weaknesses. Counters. Combinations. I filled 3 notebooks. Then I hired a private investigator. I told myself it was to gather intelligence. People who might become dangerous when the world fell apart. What he found about Juno I didn't see coming. Juno had received the same anonymous message I had. Same 4 lines. Same timing. His response was different from mine. He had spent those 11 months quietly mapping people. Who had resources. Who had weaknesses. Who was useful and who was a threat. Positioning himself inside our social circle like pieces on a board. His plan for me was in a voice memo, recovered from a cloud backup. I listened to it 6 times. Hyun is the most dangerous one. He's quiet. He thinks too much. Whatever ability he picks, he'll break it. First week. Take him out fast. Make it look like a monster got him. Then I made a second plan. On top of the first one. November 14th. 4:47 in the morning. The ground split open across 17 districts of Seoul simultaneously. The sound was unlike anything I can describe. Not an explosion. More like the earth clearing its throat. What came out of the ground were not the monsters from movies or manhwa. These were fast. Organized. 8 feet tall. Armored gray skin. For arms. Eyes that burned orange in the dark. Scientists, who would all be dead within 72 hours, named them rift crawlers in emergency broadcasts. I was already on the roof of a 12-story building near Uedo. Binoculars. Notebook. Fully rested. fully supplied. I had been in position since 4 in the morning. I watched a fire burst user on the street below incinerate 3 rift crawlers in a single blast. The flames spiraled outward in a cone shape, controlled precisely, hot enough to melt the monster's armor. Something clicked in my head. Warm and immediate, like a key turning in a lock. Mirror mind activated, fire burst copied. A speed user blurred across the intersection below me, moving so fast she left afterimages. 40 meters in under a second. Speed burst copied. A barrier user on a rooftop across the street threw up a wall of force that stopped a crawler's claw strike midair. Barrier generation. Copied. I sat on that roof for 7 hours straight. By the time I climbed down, I had 24 abilities stored in my head. I hadn't thrown a single punch. Hadn't taken a single hit. Hadn't spent a single drop of my own energy. Every other awakened player in Seoul was exhausted. Bleeding. Running out of power after fighting the first wave all night. I went home and slept 8 hours. Juno believed we were still allies. I made sure of it. I called him every 2 days. Played the struggling friend. Told him Mirror Mind was disappointing. Said the copies came out weak and faded after a few uses. Said I was scared. He was warm, reassuring, patient. Stick close to me. My range on gravity manipulation is getting stronger every day. Nobody is touching you while I'm around. Meanwhile, I kept watching. Kept copying. The combination feature revealed itself in week 3 when I tried activating Fire Burst and Speed Burst at the same time. The system labeled the result, Flare Rush. I tested it in an abandoned parking structure at 3 in the morning. The far wall ceased to exist. I sat down on the concrete and stared at what was left for a long time. Then I started combining everything. Barrier generation plus Steel Skin became Fortress State. Lightning Strike plus Speed Burst became Storm Step. Shadow Bind plus Barrier Generation became Dark Cage. A trap that could contain anything up to the size of a building. The system had given everyone one weapon. It had given me an armory. By the end of month 1, 61 abilities logged. 34 confirmed working combinations. And I hadn't shown a single one to another living person. Month 2. The Rift Crawlers evolved. They started targeting specific ability users. Fire users began dying in clusters. The creatures identified them somehow, communicated it to the swarm, and sent specialized crawlers with heat-resistant plating to hunt them first. The awakened population in Seoul had started at around 4,000. By the end of month 2, it was under 700. Juno was doing well. He had assembled a squad of 7 players. Fortified building in Mapogu. He messaged me regularly. Always warm. Always checking in. Always keeping me close enough to watch. Mirror Mind still feels weak. I told him in week 7. I might need to come to your base soon just to stay safe. He replied in under 2 minutes. You know I'll protect you. Month 3. The invitation came exactly when I expected it to. Supply run. Military ration cache 3 blocks from his base. Needed extra hands. Come alone, he said. Easier to move quietly with fewer people. I came alone, just like he asked. We walked through empty streets. Him talking. Easy and warm and familiar. For a few minutes walking next to him felt like every other time we had walked through Seoul together. 12 years of those walks. Baseball games. Late-night food stalls. University entrance exams. His mother's funeral. Then we turned into an alley. His squad was already there. 4 on the ground blocking the exit behind me. 2 more on the fire escapes above. Everyone with abilities active and ready. Juno stopped walking. Turned to face me. His voice was quiet. You're too dangerous. I can't leave you out there. His hand came up. I felt gravity manipulation activate. The pressure hit my shoulders like a physical weight trying to drive me through the concrete beneath my feet. I looked at him carefully. At the face I had known for 12 years. I know, I said, and I activated the 61st copy in my library. The gravity reversed instantly. Juno launched upward at full force. Hit the wall of the building 12 meters above us. And dropped. His squad rushed me. All 4 at once. Flare Rush took the 2 on my left. Fortress State absorbed the 3rd. The 4th, Electric Discharge. Got close enough to put his hands on my chest and fire directly into me. I had copied Electric Discharge in week 2. I sent it back at 3 times the output. The alley went quiet in under 8 seconds. Juno lay on the ground looking up at me with an expression I had never seen on his face in 12 years of knowing him. I crouched next to him. Mirror mind copies whatever it watches. You've been using gravity manipulation in front of me for 3 months. I stood up. Stay alive. You'll need your ability for what's coming next. I walked out of the alley without looking back.